Hey guys, my name is Jeff and thank you for checking out my channel, Films at Home. If you've been following me, then you know that my room is still sort of a mess. I built these new Blu-ray shelves. Go check out my video from last week if you want to see how those went up. Really cool new shelving unit, but as a result of that, I got movies everywhere. My usual setup for videos is not ready to go. I'm toughing this one out today for you guys, and I'm sorry I'm late on this, but I had to get a 4K review out of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Just came out this week, brand new release, 4K, Dolby Vision, HDR, Dolby Atmos, and this has a 4K digital intermediate as well, which means it was finished in 4K. So I checked this one out. I will let you guys know how the movie was, my thoughts on that. I saw this in theaters, so this is my second time viewing it. I'll talk a little bit about the Dolby Vision that I checked out in the HDR, and then talk about the audio in a quick little tidbit about the comparison to the Blu-ray, which is sort of an interesting thing about this release. So let's get started. So first up on the movie, this is probably my least favorite of the new Star Wars movies. So I really liked The Force Awakens. I really liked Rogue One. I liked this, but I expected a lot more. I had really high expectations, especially since my favorite movie of the original trilogy was Empire Strikes Back, the middle one of the three. It's kind of where they set up a lot of stuff. The first one introduces characters. The second one really dives into it, gets into the nitty-gritty, and the third one typically wraps things up. So I'm usually a big fan of the second movie of trilogies like that, and unfortunately this one just didn't live up to my hype. I thought that the director kind of went off on his own. Rian Johnson did it, Rian Johnson, and he didn't really stick to the kind of the foundation that J.J. Abrams set, which I thought was kind of weird. He kind of went off on his own, which I can appreciate, but a lot of things just felt off. It didn't feel all connected between the two movies, and that's part of the issue of having different directors write their stories and direct their own movies across these three movies in the trilogy, is that you're going to have a bit of a disconnect, but I felt it a little more here. Obviously, there's some great scenes. The throne room immediately comes to mind as one of the better scenes in any Star Wars movie. There are some great fight scenes, especially towards the end, some great action sequences with the ships, great space fights. So, there's a lot to like here, but it didn't feel connected to the first movie for me, and I expected a little bit of a darker, grittier tone, especially with the way that Disney was playing up the marketing for this movie. I really thought there was going to be a huge change, and it never came. So I was kind of let down almost, especially by, I'm not going to spoil it, but what happens before the throne room fight really made no sense to me. What happened there, why set somebody up like that just to get rid of them. So there's a lot of things that confused me. It's a fun movie. It has some really funny moments in it. It's got a lot of character, and it's a lot different than The Force Awakens, which I personally thought was pretty much a remake of A New Hope, in that sort of way. We got some new characters in here, which are really good, but just not as good as Rogue One, not as good as The Force Awakens. Still yet to be seen how something like Solo is, or how the third movie in this trilogy is, but it definitely wasn't my favorite Star Wars movie. I would rank it maybe 5th or 6th out of the 10 movies now that have been made. Sorry, 9 movies, 10 movies. I'm counting Solo, haven't seen that yet. But so 10 movies have been made, but right now this sits probably 5th or 6th out of 9. It sits above the prequels, and it sits above Return of the Jedi, but it's below anything else, just for me personally. Now, when we're talking 4K here in HDR, this is a 4K digital intermediate. So what that means is it's not an upscale, it's a true 4K movie. So of course the resolution looks incredible. There are some really soft shots when it comes to visual effects, because typically visual effects are only finished in 2K, and I can't confirm or deny whether that's the case for Star Wars. The only information I could get is that it's a 4K master. But there are some visual effects that are a little fuzzy. Lightsabers sometimes can be kind of soft because those will be visual effects, things like that, but nothing that's going to detract from the viewing experience. The 4K is solid. Dolby Vision and HDR, the difference between the two, I really didn't see it. Honestly, it didn't look like they did a whole lot with the HDR color scaling, especially when compared to the Blu-ray. So speaking of the Blu-ray, I told you I had something to say about that. I popped this in, did some A/B testing, Blu-ray versus 4K. went back and forth, and honestly, the Blu-ray is a very, very, very slight downgrade from the 4K. A lot of that has to do with just how nicely the movie was filmed and the fact that it has a 4K digital intermediate. But honestly, if you had to get the Blu-ray and you don't have 4K yet, you're not missing a whole lot here. They didn't go crazy on the HDR. They didn't go crazy on the upscale resolution or downscaling to Blu-ray. Didn't look that bad. Resolution still looks great, and so you're going to get a good release no matter what. So if you have the Blu-ray player and that's all you've got right now and this is all you can buy and watch, I don't think you're missing out on much in terms of picture quality. Obviously, though, I do still recommend the 4K if you have the capabilities. There's a slight uptick, and you're always going to want to get the best quality if you have the equipment. So for that reason, I would recommend going with the 4K. Now talking about audio, this has a Dolby Atmos track. I thought it was really underused. So this is a space movie, right? It's a sci-fi movie. You've got things flying overhead. You've got things happening on the ground, left and right of you, battle scenes, action sequences. There's supposed to be stuff happening in a 360-degree kind of audio immersive experience, and I felt like it was just underutilized, kind of in the same way the HDR was. I'm a little disappointed in the way Disney did this because obviously I know Thor Ragnarok 4K, incredible. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 in 4K, incredible. I'm trying to think, Coco in 4K was incredible. A lot of stuff that Disney Pixar has done has looked great in 4K in their early attempts, and the sound again has been excellent in all of those. This was not the best. I didn't feel a real difference here. I didn't feel the Atmos. I felt like it was a solid 5.1 or 7.1 track, but the Dolby Atmos did not add a whole lot to this, and so I was a little disappointed in that aspect of it. Now, real quick on the packaging, slipcover is pretty nice. I like it. It's embossed, has some nice texture to it, great color. I wasn't a real fan, honestly, of the steelbook. The steelbook went all white when every other steelbook in the series they've done so far has been completely black with the character face. Instead, they went all white with this artwork. It didn't make much sense, and I didn't go with the Target exclusive because it was only a Blu-ray and not a 4K. So in my opinion, this is the best version you can get in terms of packaging. It's going to come with the 4K disc, Blu-ray disc, and a digital copy with Movies Anywhere. That's Disney's new, digital service that they're using for everything now. And then special features, nothing on the 4K disc, but you're going to get a lot on the Blu-ray. So there's a full-length documentary on here called The Director and the Jedi. Dives into a little bit about Mark Hamill and his coming back and working on this movie. There's 14 deleted scenes, couple featurettes, audio commentary with the director, couple of scene breakdowns with the director. So some really good behind-the-scenes stuff. If you're a huge Star Wars fan, you're going to really enjoy the special features on this one. All right, guys, so that's about it. Thank you for checking out this review. Sorry it's not typical quality that you're used to from me. I've been working on this room. This room is going crazy right now. And so obviously, like, my shelves aren't even full, which are usually full behind me, serve as a nice little backdrop. I've got movies everywhere. Can't even set up my tripod, so I'm doing this just by hand. Apologies for that, but I wanted to get this review out for you guys. Hopefully you don't think I'm taking it, I'm being too harsh on it. I don't want to, think that this isn't a great release. This is a good 4K disc. This is a 4K digital intermediate. It's one of the only true 4K movies. I shouldn't say one of the only few, but it's one of a few true 4K movies that are out there right now that isn't an upscale from a 2K digital intermediate. So for that reason alone, go support the format, go support what Disney did here to film in 4K and release a 4K disc. I was just underwhelmed by the use of HDR, by the Dolby Atmos, but the special features are great, although you can get them on the Blu-ray, and the 4K resolution uptick is really nice. Lots of great shots, some soft areas, but you're going to enjoy this disc a lot if you have a 4K TV and you're a fan of the format. So yeah, final score here, I'd probably give it a 3.5 out of 5 just because I don't love the movie, but the disc itself is a solid 4.5 out of 5. It's one of the better ones I've seen, and luckily for those who don't have 4K, it's an exceptional Blu-ray disc too. There's very little downgrade from 4K to Blu-ray. So you're going to be fine with either one of these. They're both great visual technical discs. Audio's really solid, although the Atmos didn't really do it for me. It's still a solid audio track. I was just underwhelmed. Again, sort of like I was with the movie. I had a lot of hype about this being the first Star Wars 4K release, and I was underwhelmed by it. Had a lot of hype about the movie. I was underwhelmed by that too. It is what it is. That's what happens when you let the hype get to you. So yeah, thank you for checking this out. Definitely remember to subscribe, like this video, turn the notifications on, all that crap that I got to say so I can keep this YouTube channel going and keep making great content for you guys. I appreciate all the support though. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'll leave the links down in the description. I've got a huge following over there on Instagram, over 10,000 followers, and I always post cool content, so you're going to want to check that out. And I've been really getting into Twitter more, so you'll want to check me out there just to get kind of a different feel, maybe some more movie opinions and things like that. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And until next time, Jeff here from Films at Home, signing off.